lesson, hopefully you've already gone through and learned about learning objectives. The Mastery tool is a great way to track how students are doing on different learning objectives in your course. So every course has the Mastery tool, and it's over here on the left-hand side. I've gone ahead and set up our course here with a lot of different learning objectives. And what I'm going to be able to do is I'm going to be able to set the mastery for the course based on those learning objectives. So you may or may not have noticed as you've been going through the course that every quiz that you are taking has a set of learning objectives attached to each question. And you might not see those in the question, but you definitely will see them in the responses. And if I go into the questions here, you'll notice that the learning objective is attached at the bottom of each question. I also have attached these in the application activities. So I have a couple different ways of measuring how students are doing on those different learning objectives. And again, I don't think you can see them here, but if you go ahead and go into the edit section, you'll see that I have attached a learning objective there. And again, in the unit on Gradebook, you can see how to do learning objectives. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the Mastery tool here so you can see what it looks like. And I've added in some student scores. So I have these different learning objectives here, and each one tells me how the students are doing. I can see how many people have achieved mastery, and I can see the number of students that have not achieved mastery and those that are not assessed. I also can go ahead and click on this first learning objective, and I can see within here the different activities that I have that are attached to that learning objective. So I still have one here that hasn't been assessed, but you can see here that these have been assessed and I can see how students have done on those. Additionally, I can click onto each student and I can go ahead and look at their progress and how they've done on the different learning objectives that I've attached to the assignments. I can see which ones that they haven't completed and how they've done overall. So as we start to think about grading for learning and standards-based grading, this is a really excellent tool to kind of go to that next step and kind of look at how a student is learning based on these learning objectives, not necessarily based on a test. In other videos, you'll be able to take a look at the Mastery tool, but I want to point out here that you can set what Mastery looks like. You can go ahead and decide what meets expectation, what exceeds expectation. You can look at how many different things people need to master, what the average is, or if the grade is by average or highest score, and then how you want to display those things. If you want to display them with a grade or by a percentage. And so you can play around with that Mastery tool and take a look at what that looks like for students and hopefully find some uses for it in your classroom this fall.